You all had a good rest of the session yesterday. Go ahead and kick it off and take a peek at what happened yesterday towards the end of the session. As it looks like we can see we had a bit of liquidation. We talked about getting below this B low early on. Go ahead and expand this. We had talked about getting below this B low yesterday and how the target would be yesterday's settle. It looks like it did end up trading down, all the way through it. The market started to liquidate. In my opinion, it looked like it started to liquidate a little bit early, right? It looks like before that previous day's low and before that balance low, the market started to liquidate a little bit early. And then we caught a little bit of a buying tail at the low, and the market started to rebound here a little bit. And then we kind of balanced right at the end of the day. If you watched M period tried to make a little run up, failed right at that L high, and then sold off into the close. And then as we take a peek at the Globex session today, so far, Globex has traded below yesterday's low. Most of the volume coming in right at yesterday's low. We've got a very wide point of control down there, about 17 TPOs wide. But since then, we had since I last looked, when I was writing the trade view, we had some news come out about the here it is. Here. So we had these wholesale inventories come out, retail inventories, and they're higher, right, which is kind of negative news, but good news for the market, saying that consumers are not consuming as much, that maybe there's a little bit more stuff on the shelves than normal, and that's kind of showing slowing growth and that's kind of what the Fed is after at this point, right? They're trying to slow down growth, and they're getting to that point where they're achieving it. So that's kind of why I think maybe the market popped up. I haven't really got a chance to check Twitter since I've been back. I literally just walked in the door. See if Bostic had been saying anything interesting. So the Bank of England is buying 30-year yields, $5 billion tranches. That's correct. But really the key here for me is going to be to settle, just like I talked about in the trade view. Peter, good morning. Zoe, good morning. I think that the key here will be to see if the market is able to hold yesterday's settle. If it is, I think there's opportunity to get back up to this half back, and then maybe get back up into this upper distribution from yesterday up here at this high. There's a Jim Dalton webinar on right now too, if you guys wanted to check that out. Up into this upper distribution, right? That's kind of what I'm looking for, kind of where it seems like the target will be. We've seen this 3,700 level act as a gigantic magnet lately, and that could be the target that it goes forward with. And we'll see. We've got a lot of news on today. We see here we've got pending home sales in about an hour, just under an hour, so right at the top of the hour. Then we've got Bullard on at 10:10. Then we've got Powell on at 10:15. Then we got crude oil inventories at 10:30. And then that's pretty much it. And then we've got Bowman at 11. And then Evans at 2. So a lot of Feds on today. The market could be very volatile. The market is getting very volatile. This is something I definitely want to bring to light. A lot of you guys are newer, or if some of you guys are newer traders and just started trading recently, like within the year 2021, 2022, we're almost done with 2022. Time's been flying by pretty crazily. But we're starting to get back to that, like, you know, 2018 to or late 2018, and then like that 2020, early 2020 volatility that we had. And so, there's a lot of opportunity coming around, but there's also a lot of risk coming around. So there's nothing wrong with staying out of the market, right? Remember, sometimes the best trade is no trade. So, um, just be aware of that, and don't think because the market is moving, 100 points every day that you should be making 100 points every day, right? Kevin, good morning. So you see the dollar trading back inside yesterday's range after peaking up above to that 114. The Australian dollar trying to come back up today. The euro's trying to climb back up, still below that $1 mark. Bitcoin took a little spill yesterday with the market. Really just could not get, not get above that 20K and hold, and then liquidated lower. So we've got some ground to make up on Bitcoin. Oil starting to trade back up, looking to get back up above that 80. You killed it in ETH short yesterday? Hell yeah, good stuff. Apple, we were kind of watching for this breakdown yesterday, and then it finally broke up at the end of the range, or the end of the day. But since is kind of gapping lower overnight. AMD looks like it is doing the kind of the same thing. Morning Roach. Amazon doesn't look like it's gonna open up on a gap, but it is opening lower. Google looks about the same. Meta around the same. Microsoft around the same. Netflix looking stronger after that liquidation yesterday. Looks like it's almost back up to its high from yesterday. Nvidia looking a little bit stronger, but still at the lows of yesterday's range. Tesla had a nice rally into the close yesterday, but then sold off coming into the morning, or open lower, excuse me. And then the VIX still very elevated, but just right around 32. So a lot of action out here. Most likely going to open up with a negative breath, I'm assuming, today. So we'll pay attention to our sectors and kind of how they form, right? They really kept us on track yesterday. We had this very positive breath opening up yesterday. The weighted AD started to go negative. Started to see all of our sectors go negative. The tick was really pinned down to the low, and that really helped us stay on the short side, even though we had a positive breath pretty much for the entire day yesterday. So sometimes, and this is why it's important to have a checklist, and why I like the checklist that I posted in the Discord, because it can keep you on track, right? If you just are focused on one thing, a lot of times you can get fixated on a single data point, and that can really disrupt your trading. That
Well, why would the breath be positive if all the sectors are negative?
because of the market opened up really high. So the breath is based off of yesterday's close. So what happened was the market closed the previous day down here. Well, then it opened up way up here. So all these stocks overnight saw the futures, and they're like, oh, we're going to be higher. And so they opened up, and then it initially started trading up. So the breath was up, 24. NASDAQ was even really high because the tech was the big driver yesterday. And then as it started to go back down, just to get back to zero, or to a 1-to-1 breath, right? It's going to have to get all the way back down to here because of the gap up in the stocks, right? Because stocks don't trade 24 hours. And so the breath was misleading, but luckily for us, we had the weighted AD, and the weighted AD kept us playing smart, and then we track our sectors from the open. So that's what's nice about That's what's nice about having everything and not just focusing on one data point. And that's a huge thing I think that gets a lot of people in trouble, is that they get fixated on one data point and kind of forget everything else, and everything else just kind of goes to shit. Morning, TJ. So take a look, right? We had a little bit of a rally. When I left to take the kids to school, the market was at like 36.45 and came back and it's at like 36.70. Uh, it's now coming back down 36.33, trading right at that settle. Um, Nothing really has changed as far as overnight inventory being net short. Okay, so we base it off of the settle. We are getting a little bit of inventory up here, but for the most part, inventory is still short. So any bid off the open could cause a short covering rally, right? And then we go back below the settle here. I am expecting today to be just, extremely volatile with all the Fed speakers, and I'm gonna have a tight eye on Twitter today just to try to make sure that we can catch anything um, that comes out or can be helpful. There was some news about Apple overnight, um, and that's probably what this gap down was all about, was because they said they're going to slow down production of the iPhone or something like that. So I'm just updating those all levels. We've got some time. If anyone has any questions, just let me know. Morning, Reyes. I know a lot of you guys are probably over at Jim's thing. Let me know if he says anything interesting. I'm sure he has a downside bias.
Hey Brad, if we open and get above the like T2 low, are you kind of treat like, I guess you're still looking for the downside? You're not kind of, are you treating it as a, I guess why wouldn't you treat it as like a look below and fail, possibly like trade to the other side of
I
balance?
I will be, yeah, I will be. I like to I like the short as long as the market's below the settle.
Oh, gotcha.
Um, but if the market gets above the settle, I really am kind of in like a no man's land. I don't really have a plan, so to speak, as far as like a concrete definition of a plan, just because of
Yeah,
I just like
like
it
one set thing.
right. It's just hard for me to trust. Uh, it's hard for me to trust the market just because of all the news or all the feds that are going to be on today, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to think, but I do, yeah. I mean, I'm kind of thinking the same thing. I'm thinking the market moved down below our 2-day balance. Somebody bought it up, right? Overnight session really doesn't carry that much weight. A lot of probably momentum traders are probably trapped short in the overnight session, in my opinion. And if we can get above the settle and really kind of fill in this distribution, I kind of expect the market to be back and forth here. And if a buyer steps up into this area, then good odds to do what you're talking about, trade to that high balance. We'll just look for agreements with the entire market, right? We'll look at the weighted AD, take a peek at the sectors, see if Apple can recover today. This Apple weakness is like a thorn in the lion's paw here. This is weakness in Apple really, and the same thing in the caveat, the strength in Apple is such a big driver of the market, as everyone kind of looks as Apple, it's a tech stock, so it has a high yield, but it's also kind of like the safest play for a lot of people's money. So if it starts to be weak, it's really hard to even trust any rally that goes. I think today, well, not really
Gotcha.
think. I know today that most of my trades are probably going to be uh just tighter. I'm going to be a lot tighter with stops and not letting these runners kind of run back on me. I don't think I just think today's going to be really choppy. So if I get in, I'm going to have to get out.
Cool. Appreciate it.
Yep. Brad, when you're talking about the settle, do you mean the initial range? So the settle is where the market settled at, like where the close was at, basically. I'm talking about the settle is like where it closed at. I'm not sure what initial range is. You could be talking about initial balance, which is like the A high and the B, or well, in this case, it's the range of A and B. Not something that I super pay attention to. Lecker, good morning. JD, good morning. I think you're on the wrong channel. Or JB. Um, but yeah, Reyes, I'm not sure what you mean. The settle is just where the market settled at the close, and then the last is where the last trade occurred before Globex opened up. Morning, Dr.
Yeah, he
Beaver.
might be. You were thinking, or like you were saying, like wait for the price to settle. You know how people use that word sometimes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So like, um, basically what I mean by that is like, I expect today, especially it looks like we're gonna be open up inside yesterday's value, to probably test below this settle and probably be pretty volatile. And so I'm just kind of gonna. I think today there'll be better opportunity later in the session than early in the session. As far as I know it's super nice to get on and get some good trades early on and then just be done for the day, right? Like get on the market, make $1,000 in 20 minutes, and then your day's over, right? That's the dream of every day. But just every day is not like that. Some days you got to work all day. Some days work is harder. It's just kind of how the market goes, and for me, on a day like today, especially with the volatility, and I mean, the ATR, the average trading range for the past um couple of days, we can see like we've got 3730 to 3650, so you're at about 70 points there. 36.60 to 36.30. So you're at, you know, close to 90 points there. And then yesterday's range was like 37.32 to 36.32. So about 100 point range. So you go, you know, we're averaging about 90 points, and that's a tough spot. That's one of those days where you can be right and wrong a lot, right? You get in the trade, you get stopped out, and then the trade goes your way, especially with the increased volatility. And so for me, I think today the better setups will probably be later in the day. I'm not saying that there won't be any setups, you know, and of course we'll be you know, paying attention to the market and see what it brings to us, but um, I'd rather let the dust settle first, so to speak, than to try to just be right early.
Yeah, that chop zone lasted so long yesterday. Maybe not chop zone, but like just after it broke the low and just was bouncing forever. My goodness.
Yeah, I was watching it on my phone because I had that appointment in the afternoon, so I didn't really get to trade. After I got off the stream, I actually closed my short and then ate some lunch, and then I, you know, checked the market before I got into my appointment and saw that it was below the settle, and I was like, motherfucker. Um, and then I saw that it broke the low, and I was like, oh damn. There was a nice long. There was I mean, I'm sure there was a bunch of nice longs there yesterday, but there was a nice little setup after that chop zone ended on um this K
Yeah,
period. This K
yeah,
period pop up. Just a nice little correction of short-term inventory. And honestly,
yeah.
like,
We were
go ahead, sir.
sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, we were waiting on the correction for like it felt like it took 3 times longer than normal. It's like because it would set up and then you like I would get in, but then it wouldn't go, you know, and then it would, you know, you'd give another 30 minutes or an hour, and you get in, but it wouldn't go. So, but finally it went, and it was great, but it just felt like it took so much longer to correct inventory. I don't know, maybe just because it was such a big level or something.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're right. You know, it's a yearly low, so a pretty big decision to make for a lot of hedge funds and big money managers. You know, they're like, oh shit, is this a spot I buy? Morning, Jason.
Brad, is the big time to watch out for today the 10:15
Yeah,
Fed Powell?
Pal's on. Yeah, and then that
Okay,
pending
cool.
home sales that might be a little bit of a mover, but I mean Bullard and then Pal's on right after that, so we might get a little bit of nothing from that.
Okay, because sometimes like some random Fed person's on and doesn't really do anything. So
Yeah, yeah,
I try to
he's the
eye the
one.
big. There's definitely times where you don't want to be in a position when the clock hits because that thing would just move in whatever
Yeah,
way it wants.
even within a couple of minutes before, like, you know, after 10 o'clock, honestly, it might be, you know, safer to not be in a trade. I don't know if you guys are reading some of those stats that Poke posted yesterday in the Discord. I mean, but it was crazy. And he's getting these stats from the My Forex funds, but it was saying like that, and he's trading on like a funded account, but for Forex, and it said 60% of traders in their database do not use a stop loss and have a high risk of ruin, which is just, I'm sure it's very similar on all funded trading accounts. I'm sure it's similar on just trading accounts in general, but it's just crazy to me to think like if you're going to trade futures or a high risk asset like that to not have a stop. Like if you're trading stocks, you know.
Yeah, I thought that was funny too. That they 60%. I thought that, man, that's high.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not
You know,
surprised though. You got to think about how many degens there are out there. Like, You know, people don't people I mean people don't care about getting poor. They just want to get rich. And if they have to get poor trying it, you know, it's just it's I mean, I don't know. People are willing to I mean, that's the reason why there's a Gamblers Anonymous, you know. It's like people are willing to fucking leverage everything they have to try to get rich. And they don't want to spend the time that it takes to learn a skill, right? Like, you know, I don't really consider poker gambling. Um, but you know, a lot of people are just like solely focused on fucking just oh shit. Um, you know, like fucking 21 black, fucking risk it all. Instead of just like, you know, reading some books, learning how to play poker, right? If I lived in Vegas, I mean there's so many poker tournaments, cheap poker tournaments that you could play in every single day just to build up the skills. You know, just like how we have the market every Monday through Friday. Like, you know, you could sit here and not trade. You know, unfortunately, it's time consuming and you're not getting anything back for your time except for knowledge, which really is the value is really, you know, is uh the experience is something that you can't pay for. You know what I mean? No course is going to give you the experience. No amount of money you spend is no specific amount of money you spend is going to give you an experience, right? Um, I use a stop loss when you could just blow up your whole account. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's get this party started. All right. 3613. Well, I guess yeah, with the with Globex session, yeah. Yeah, people, I mean, it's because the thrill of hitting the jackpot on the slots is like, you know, it's just like they're like, "Ah, yeah, I did it. I'm a winner." And that's the big thing is like that's what most people are focused on, you know? Just being a winner right now. They're like, "Oh, I won right now. That's it." But in reality, like, I mean, at least for me, you know, I'm in the game for longevity and consistency. A couple more days and I start my new job next week. Totally. Morning, Adam. I mean, they even got rid of the pool arm. You don't even have to do it anymore. Everything's digital now. You just press the button. So as long as you could just lean forward, you could fucking do it with your elbows. All right, we've got about 2 minutes left, about actually a minute and a half left. So now's the time. You know, do what you've got to do. Get some meditation in. There's nothing wrong with doing some meditation for a minute. Um, you know, whatever you have to do, finalize your trade plan. We're above the settle. So for me, I'm kind of hands off right now until I see how the market acts and get some more information. We're below the settle, you know, I'd like to get a nice little fade in there, but we're above the settle, and I think that possibly we might see a little bit of short covering here off the open with overnight inventory being 100% net short. If we don't get an auction lower right off the bat, then it just makes sense that the upside goes, and we'll watch for that half back. We're kind of opening up in this distribution from yesterday, so it would make sense to do a little bit of filling in here too to strengthen up the structure. Right, if we do this real quick. You know, so if we're looking at the profiles like this, you got 30 seconds. You know, you've got a really kind of, you know, no meat or potatoes down here, so it makes sense to do a little bit of filling here, see if sellers are willing to move down. That 3,700 level has been acting like a huge magnet lately, so we'll have our eyes peeled for that as well. Market's open. Take a peek at the breath here. I don't know if it's updating. Yeah, there it goes. So the nicey breath is up. Nasdaq breath is down. A little bit of a push down early here. You're not a casino guy? I love the casino, bro. I love it in there. So pretty volatile. We just saw a 3-point move in about 1 second. Back up to that 37. I just love the casino feel. You can just smell the hope and desperation in there.
Is the small red line open?
So the open is 36.70. The small red line is the last trade from yesterday. A little pushback down to the settle. We kind of expected that. That's booze and cigarettes. Look at that retracement right off the settle. Crypto Mojo, good morning. A little bit of volume coming in down here. We're still inside yesterday's range. Thanks, Dr. VJ. Hopefully all of you guys will be working with the T3 prop firm as well in the future. Volume's still moving down here. Look for a break here. There it is. So if the market breaks here, you're pretty much going to be looking for yesterday's point of control, and then which is 36.50, and then there it goes, and then possibly 36.40 as well. So not all the way down to yesterday's point of control. Kind of died right here in this weak volume area. Look at the volume's kind of weak on this move down here, though. This kind of, look at the volume here. Pretty weak so far. We want to see some of this volume move down if there's going to be any continuation. Yeah, the old strip, normally when I go to Vegas, I just go to the old strip, and it's not really for kids.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning, Dad. So popped back up above the settle, really back and forth here again. Twenty-four-hour VWAP's down at 49. We're back below the settle again, so just really, really choppy. Pay attention to this kind of area here. I mean, you have volume here, which is, you know, same spot, so they agreed on the same spot again. But we've got weak volume from yesterday up here, and then kind of a little bit lighter. I wouldn't say weak, but lighter volume down below, and we're starting to see, you know, this kind of no follow through, at least from these sellers yet, right? We're starting to just kind of taper up. Your volume slowly is increasing on the way up. A little bit of short covering down here below, but there was some selling down here, and then volume kind of trying to move down now down below the settle. But we've seen some volume move down below the settle now. Now we're right at that T2 low. Let's look to see if they sell below the T2 low. Now overnight, or the yesterday's point of control, excuse me, is right there at like 36.50 quarter, 50 half. And that seems like a decent target for this move to the downside. You can see Apple's trading a little bit lower here, coming into that 145 foot wall. We're seeing the weighted AD, you know, just barely ticking negative, right? We gotta give the weighted AD some time to get some direction. We saw the tick open up high, not too high, but you know, it did peak below that zero level and is trying to come back down. And then our weighted sectors are, for the most part, red here. Healthcare actually opened up on a gap higher, but is trading lower now. So check this out. I don't want to cover the market too much, but so here's healthcare's close from yesterday, opened up a lot higher and is trading lower. So that can be a deceiving number, XLV, right? Technology opened lower. consumer discretionary opened higher, traded lower. So tech was the only thing that really opened lower. So this opened higher, opened higher, opened higher, opened higher, opened higher, 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 higher. So everything kind of opened higher except tech. Volume's coming down here below the settle. We know these kind of put call walls sometimes can act as support or resistance, and Apple's coming right into one real quick. So Apple's down 4%. Apple's getting hammered. The rest of the market's fairly green though. If we take a peek, like, I mean, look at the watch list here. You got the dollar's green, Bitcoin's actually green, Nasdaq's red, gold's up, but you know, AMD's green, Amazon's green, Google's green, Meta's green, Microsoft's red, Netflix is up 2.5. You know, so we've got Tesla's pretty red here too. That's a text I sent to James this morning was when when tech breaks, or when Elon announces that he's going to slow down the manufacturing of Teslas, I think that's when the Twitter news will come out, and then that's when we'll make the low. So back above the settle now, really kind of back and forth here. Some decent tapering here, Peter Resnicek would call this. A little bit of a weak spot. You're still getting some interest in these lower prices here, so there's still some volume coming in down at those lows. It makes me kind of suspect. See if the market can get above its open. It hasn't really broken its open since the open, so that would kind of be the key that it's looking for, is to try to trade above the open. The breath is starting to go green here. Weighted AD is still doing nothing really. Tick's trying to get below 0. Legalized weed makes everything better. I mean, can't argue with that, yeah. So back inside, or back up above yesterday's settle. See if they target the open here. A little bit of short covering, or a long liquidation there. Profit taking up there at the 68. There it goes. First pop of the open. Starting to see the weighted AD go to positive. Look at the breadth in the NYSE and the NASDAQ, both looking kind of strong here. Remember, we have overnight inventory very short. A little bit of liquidation right off the top. But you can just see how volatile it is, right? I mean, it's crazy. Every time we get excited, oh, it looks like we're going to go up, and then flushes back down. Oh, it looks like it's going to go down, and it just pops back up. It's really a tough day to trade. That's why I think today is, one of those days where, you might be just better off just waiting later in the day. Let the trade set up, right? Let the market kind of figure out what it's wanting to do. We're 15 minutes in. We're coming into the 10 o'clock time where Powell's going to get on, and he's going to, probably try to save the market. Biden's probably fucking poking him in the ribs saying, hey, hey, buddy, I need to get reelected. So maybe stop with all this negative talk. A little bit of profit taking above the open there. So you've got some responsive buyers in the market. That's what that's a sign of. So there is some responsive buying in the market here, but they're not initiating new longs. They're just buying responsively. So just be careful here. Right down to the cash VWAP, which is at 63 here. Nasdaq's trading lower here. Let's see. I mean, it's coming back down to support, but let's see if it holds or if it breaks. Apple's trying to trade lower. Oh shit. So Nasdaq's holding so far here. Volume coming up on the last there. Point of control shifted up just now. I would say, yeah, I would say it's just a weak high. Yeah, I don't know I mean, it's right there, so that's a good call out. So back above the open here, right where longs took profit last time. Bid stepped up on the 69 just below the open. So it looks like they're trying to hold this thing above the open. There it goes. Right into those singles. See if it's going to clean them up. Right to the top of those singles here. Breath is picking up here. Look at the tick. Tick is pretty strong here. NASDAQ trying to break out. Apple really is even bouncing off of this put wall. And then right back down below the open. So we cleaned up the singles. We can go ahead and remove them. Just watch this A high. 500 contracts trade on that high. Well, actually, not actually 500. This is a 2-tick increment, so a little bit less than 500. Bitbeard, what's up, man? How's it going? Been a while. Been a while. Chilly where I live. I guess not for the people that are from here, but for me, might as well be fucking, Game of Thrones. Winter's coming. Dollar's on a tear. Oh, dollar's dropping. Yeah, dollar is coming down. Yeah, waiting for Powell. Yeah, us as well. Wants to go. Look at the breath is real strong. There it goes. It's trying. Let me see if I can queue up Powell real quick. Oops. You're currently long from 1850. Took some profits. Next take profits 1964. Yeah, we were watching on Bitcoin. These single prints that are coming up on Bitcoin are going to be interesting here. That 19,400 has been a kind of a key level as well. But you got single prints from that liquidation yesterday that are going to be on the watch today. See if I can find Powell. The volume moving up here too. So now we're seeing volume come in above the open. Powell's speaking in, I think he's on in 15 minutes. I think he's at 10, or no, is he at 10:30? I think he's at 10:15. I wouldn't be surprised to see a little flusherooski before Powell jumps on. So just be careful if you're in any trades right now. Powell is on at, yeah, he's on in 20 minutes, yeah. So we've got pending home sales coming out in 5 minutes right at the top of the hour. Then we got Bullard in 15 minutes and then Powell in 20 minutes. Yeah, so we'll pull them up once they hop on the mic. So market coming back to its open here. Back down to value, back down to volume. So far, when we pay attention to value, right? Value is just overlapping from yesterday. We're trading inside yesterday's range. We're still inside the Globex range as well. We did kind of clean up these single prints here. We can see, here's where those single prints were at. We got a little bit above them, and then traded back down to the open here. So nothing really, nothing really extravagant or kind of giving us really solid information, at least not yet. Not to the upside or to the downside, really. Just very rotational. The market's just been very back and forth. It is, we do have a strong breadth. Our weighted AD is up. We're kind of getting mixed signals here. But healthcare opened up on a gap up and is lower. So, this isn't as negative as we can assume. Financials is actually looking really strong. And tech is starting to come back. It was down about a 0.5%. It's down about 0.36 right now. Buying off the open here. Nasdaq's kind of breaking down here a little bit. Apple, the driver of that. Big buy order hitting the tape, 73.75, 113 lots. Yeah, it won't be the pre-recorded statement. It'll be if he takes any questions. That'll be the key, if he takes any questions. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm just gonna wait. As much as I am looking at the market and thinking like, okay, there's some opportunity here, I'm just like, you know what? Better to stay safe than sorry.
Yeah, shorting the 76 is almost less risk than expecting a breakout at this point.
Yeah,
Many times.
I agree. And this was, I mean, an area from Globex too, that Globex failed. What do I think about the new end of day bets? Are you talking about on is that the CME is doing? News and Powell later too. Oh. The CME, is that what you're talking about, Jason? I saw something like that. Where did I see that at? I thought it wasn't real, to be honest with you. I didn't know it was a real thing. I thought it was a joke. Um yeah, so I was reading this article and it's like I mean basically what it's telling us is that there you're going to be able to, maybe it wasn't this one. Where's the article I found? The market trying to dip up. Let me see if I can find the article. So B period opens up and extends the range to the upside here. B period opened up right on the open, or right above the open. Woo! A little bit of volatility kicking in. It went. Could trap the bulls here. I mean, pending home sales. Let's see. Came out -2%. They were expecting -1.4. They were down 2%. So, it's worse than expected. And that's kind of a bad news is good news type thing. This is it. Yeah, so it's like the CME group is trying to simplify things that are based on widely available data points such as the Standard and Poor's 500, the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and the price of gold and oil, and they are yes or no propositions. Do you think the index of price will close above a specified level at the end of the day? Each contract is worth $20. If you're right, you get $20. If you're wrong, your loss is what you paid for the contract. The payment can range from 25 cents to 19.75 depending upon whether your bet looks far-fetched or like a sure thing. CME Group is working with a handful of futures brokers to get the word out. One of them is Ninja Trader Group with offices at, blah, blah, blah. Retail investors are finding their own ways to futures. He said the goal of the CME and Ninja Trader was to create simple, safe, accessible products. So fucking Ninja Trader's on board with the gambling. So boom, right below the open, this thing's starting to smash down a little bit here. Interesting. But yeah, basically they're giving they're kind of giving the opportunity to basically like just bet on, is the market going to close like red or green. I mean, they're basically just giving these people the opportunity to fucking gamble. Yeah, mousetrap. Yeah, they got him right to the half back and then admit some selling. But just be careful, I mean, there's just not, this market is just so back and forth. I mean, we just dropped from 86 to 66. So you just dropped 20 handles in less than a minute, basically, like 2 minutes. Um, so yeah, they're trying to get the retail liquidity because fucking, regular retail traders are out of money already. And that's another thing, guys, like, um another thing like that you can hang your hat on, like, if you're still in the market after all of this has been going on, and you've been, let's say you started trading, a year ago or something like that, and you're still in the market, you're past, most of your peers, right? Most people don't last more than a couple of months in the market, right? Before they blow their load or um run out of money or give up. So, that's something, that I wouldn't I wouldn't call it like a defeat or anything like that. I would say that that's a real accomplishment, I think. I know sometimes it doesn't feel like it, but it really is. I'm a pretty aggressive trader. I haven't taken a trade today. Yeah, Jason, me neither. I'm just sitting here. I've set up a couple of trades and then just close them before they get filled. Just I'll just wait as much as I want to. But what's the average new account time? 6 weeks or so? What do you mean, Peter?
What was that what Jim Dalton says? Like when he had like with new accounts, like they were like they get blown within like 6 weeks of being funded, something around there. 6 or 8 weeks. I can't remember what he said, but it's not long for new
Well,
accounts.
The one thing that Poke posted yesterday, and I'm sure it's fairly true on I'm sure it's fairly true on all funded accounts. It said was it? It said like most traders that get a funded account don't make it to their first pay cycle or their first opportunity to take a payout, which would be like 6 weeks ish probably. So yeah.
But I still have my blue box on here from yesterday where I wanted to get short, and that B period came right up to that blue box and got rejected from the trap long liquidity from where D broke the B low.
Oh right, yeah, right, yep. Yeah, eventually, TJ, you'll just be killing the game, I'm sure.
I'm trying, bro. I'm trying.
TJ makes me study harder. He says something, I'm like, shit, I should have seen that. I should have known that. Back to the books.
Yeah, I mean, even like he says stuff, and I'm like, oh shit, that's a good eye, and that's awesome because that's kind of what this is all about, and why I enjoy like trading with all of you guys is because like we have that opportunity to help each other. Second, hello, hey buddy. Curtis's blood sugar's all over today. He was low this morning, now he's high.
Jeez.
They should really send these nurses like to some continued education classes about uh about diabetes, because like it sometimes I'm just like I'm fucking flabbergasted about
Yeah.
just like the lack of knowledge.
It would make sense that they would need like continued education,
You would think.
almost like an accountant or a tax person. Like every year they have to go to the updated tax law, like
Yeah. Oh
just
yeah.
because someone test 10 years ago don't mean they're an expert on what that person's coming in on today.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, if that's your sole job, like, as a school nurse, like, yeah, you deal with some cuts and bruises and some fucking whiny ass kids maybe, but like mostly you're there for the kids that have, underlying issues like asthma or allergies or diabetes, you know, and so like if it was me as a school nurse, I wouldn't I would, you know, I would educate myself, honestly. I would be pushing the school to pay for the education for me, but I would be educating myself for sure.
I'm surprised they don't. Doctors have to take, to keep their license, they have to have a certain amount of hours per year. I didn't realize nurses didn't.
No, nurses do, but the thing is like the way CEUs work for the nurses is not necessarily like job specified or job specific. Um, so like my wife has to do continued education. They're called CEs. Um, and we had to do them when I was a paramedic. I had to do continued education as well. But the training that you do is not really based on anything. There's no specifics to it. It doesn't pertain necessarily to your job. Like when I was a paramedic, I could do education based on, you know, fucking anything I want when pretty much my entire job was trauma. But I could do, you know, I could do like pediatrics continuing education if that's what I wanted to do. As long as I completed some hours, you know, and so it's kind of like it's on them to, you know, kind of fucking do the right thing, I guess.
Right. It's
Oh,
like
that's
what
interesting.
all is, where people just gravitate towards the easiest things to get stuff done. You know,
Exactly.
the easiest one to do to just knock it out.
Yep. In the army,
Yeah,
we actually made our people run through a course, like a trauma course. We called it Table Eights, and they had so there's like 8 scenarios that they had to show proficiency on to recertify. Um, but in the civilian sector, a lot of that time is just, you know, you just sign up for a class, take a class, and it just, you know, you, like let's say you get trained on like the impella pump or like, you know, some equipment that counts, right? Even if you use the equipment every single day, just getting continued education on it, you get the credit for it, and it's kind of, I don't know. It's frustrating when it comes to kids. You know, I feel like people should try harder on everything when it comes to kids. Yeah, most adults are fucking worthless humans, right? And they don't deserve your extra effort, but kids always do, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's like that's what frustrates me. And it's especially like, you know, I mean, yeah, I have a medical background, but I'm not a fucking nurse. And I mean, I guess it's just because it's my kid. Like, I know so much about diabetes because as soon as he got it, I was like, well, fucking learn everything there is to know about this. But I just need to bring back like where you can just like, you know, fucking bitch slap people and not go to jail for it. And just slap some sense into them.
Every person gets one slap a month.
Unless they no, Rochi actually wasn't born with it. So diet it's type 1 diabetes, so it is an autoimmune deficiency that he has. Um, what happened was there was a couple days where he was just fucking chugging water, right? Just drinking water like a champion. And then he was waking up in the middle of the night to piss, and it wasn't normal for him. And so I'd kind of noticed it, and then my wife had noticed it as well. It was like two days probably it went on. Um, and I was like, you know what? I was like, just to take him to the doctor today and let's just see, you know, because we were both kind of thinking diabetes, like, because my wife's a nurse and I have a medical background, and we're both kind of thinking like it seems like he might have high blood sugar because that's a pretty common symptom for people that have elevated blood sugar is that they can't quench their thirst, and because they can't quench their thirst, they're drinking so much liquid and then they have to urinate all the time. And so she took him in, and then sure as shit, his fucking blood sugar was like 340 or some shit. They were like, "Yep." And then they, you know, we took him down to the child's clinic down in Sacramento, and then they kept him overnight, which he fucking loved because they had the fucking PlayStation in there, so he got to play the new Spider-Man game the whole time he was there. And yeah, he had fucking type 1 diabetes. It was crazy. Luckily for us, though, we caught it early. A lot of times, parents don't catch it until, um, you know, until their kid like passes out or something. Like, so
Yeah.
luckily for us, we had that medical training, but I mean, I can only, and you know, I mean, as shitty as it may sound, like if one of my kids had to get diabetes, um, it was better that it was him because his sister would have been a fucking nightmare. Oh my god, like she won't even stand on the scale at the doctor's office, let alone fucking get her finger pricked, you know? So, god damn, it would have been hell. Whereas Curtis, and he's like me, he's just easy going, like he just goes with the flow. So, I mean, it sucks, and you feel, I mean, as a parent, you just feel fucking terrible, like you know, because I mean, he's just muscle and skin, you know, he's just, it's not like he has diabetes like some of these fucking, you know, you see some of these like 10-year-olds that weigh, you know, fucking 200 pounds and shit, but um he just he'll be playing and then his sugar will drop and he'll have to stop playing, you know, and he starts crying and you know, you just feel like shit. Here we go, Pal's on. Let me see if I can find him.
Yes, 3:30.
So market's not really getting too crazy here. Not yet, at least. Nasdaq pulled back to support. Wish you could search YouTube Live for Powell. But see, I don't see it. If anyone finds the stream of Powell, let me know. I'm on the Federal Reserve website, but that's not it. Here we go. I think I found it.
It looks like you can hit filters right under the search bar, and it'll only show live feeds.
Gotta register for this shit. What's the deal? So Bostic said lack of progress. The Fed needs to be moderately restrictive. This means rates in 4.25 to 4.5. No indication of dysfunction in the market. I'm still not seeing the stream. Yeah, you feel helpless when your kids are down. Yeah, it sucks. Especially because he's just like a winner all the time, you know. Filtered. How the fuck do we get in? Stupid. So breadth is still looking kind of strong here. Weighted AD's making it a higher high here. A little bit of shorts covering up here, it looks like, above the open. Yeah, I don't see the stream anywhere. Watch Twitter and see if or see if we hear anything. Nice trading, Dad. Doing good. So pretty wide initial balance, I would say, just to start off the day. ALO's right around 52, 86. So what do we got? We got what's that? 30 points ish. Oh, I mean, I guess we could just call it kind of narrow, honestly, in the scheme of the week so far. Still trying to search for this thing to see if Powell's going to say anything interesting, but it doesn't. Gold's on a kind of a big rally here as the dollar's, pulled back down, and I mean, kind of recovering, but gold's up 1.25%. Market looks like it wants to try to break up again here. Weekly VWAP right here at the 79.50. Let's see what they get. Yeah, I'm still not seeing anything. So strong breath. The weighted AD is up. Information technologies pulled a full 180. Looking like it wants to get higher as well. Yeah, unfortunately, healthcare workers are like professions. Some just aren't really good at their own profession. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's everywhere. That is everywhere. Little liquidation right there, right at the high again. The Nasdaq's pretty much pulled a full 180 here. Take a peek at this. Nasdaq was down, and it was kind of leading the way down, trying to drag everything down, and right to that VWAP, and is back up here. And that 3,700's not too far ahead. I don't know where this but riding a pretty steep trend on this move up out of Globex. So it'll definitely be something that we monitor as the session continues on here. But basically right back to its open. So Powell didn't answer any questions, didn't really do anything. Apple's trying to come back even here. There it goes. So back above yesterday's half back here. This is now kind of starting to look like what TJ was inferring before we started the session today, that yesterday was kind of a look below and fail, right? We talked about if we have a strong breath and we see strong sectors and the tick agrees with us, the only thing really kind of holding back was Apple, and Apple hit that 145 and has since bounced. So it's but then here we go, we kind of bouncing back around. It's a really tough day to trade, guys. It really is. So keeps rolling here. There it goes. So we're starting to see all this short covering. A lot of it. And we've seen this 3,700 level act as a magnet, and now we're only about 10 points away from it. And everything else is looking pretty strong. Look, you're seeing information technology do a full 180 now. Was down about 0.5%. Now it's up about 0.5%. Powell didn't answer any questions, like I said, so he's pretty much done. Nothing really left. We got 1 minute till the C period opens up. We're going to be opening up with some single prints, and then we were going to get these oil inventories right off the bat here. Healthcare even trying to come back to its open. Remember, healthcare is the one we talked about this morning, where it kind of opened up on a gap up, but then traded lower. It's negative, but it's still up compared to yesterday's close. C period's opening up. Let's see what we get here. Watch for the opposite auction here. Looks like it stopped right there, 689. Very thin right here, 90, 75. Excuse me. Oil increase of 2 million. Supposed to be an increase of 1.14 million, and actually is a drawdown of 0.215 million. So let's watch oil for a second. Yeah, it's on a tear. Dollar's coming back down. Oil's just skying right now. Bid jumps up to the 80.50 here, 88.50, excuse me. Watch this bid. Still holding. Still holding. There it goes. It just traded. So watch this level. 89 is going to be a key level, I kind of am assuming today. 89. And we can see it's kind of right where the previous point of controls are at. And surprise, surprise, it's right here. Where if we combine all three profiles from the previous balance, it's right at the point of control. So what a shock. So buyers stepped in right there. Another bid steps up right on the 90. Drops back below. Weak spot in the profile right here. We've got Bowman, Fed Bowman in 26 minutes. I don't know if they're going to say anything interesting. So when we look back right at yesterday, we're coming right into the value area high of yesterday, right? So we can assume there's some people that are going to try to fade this. Not really the best idea. I mean, there's opportunity, of course, but the volatility today is kind of crazy. You can see we haven't had any ticks close below 0. Weighted AD is up. Breath is fairly strong. I mean, really, only thing really not just wanting you to just jump into the long pool here is Apple's weakness. Other than that, pretty much everything is kind of telling us, you know, that the target here is going to be that 3,700 and the high of balance, where we have these kind of weak level here. Really just kind of hanging out here. If it can keep holding above 90, this thing could really start to take off here. I think you might be probably getting a lot of people trying to fade yesterday's balance high or value area high, excuse me. Like it wants to go here, getting a lot of trades right here at the top tick. 972 all traded on the ask. Boom. If
Can
we
you look
get
at the TPO on
continuation,
Ethereum?
what's that?
So can you look at the TPO on Ethereum?
Yeah. Yeah, it did look like that, Jason. Um it looked like it was ready to break out, and then there it goes. So ETH pulling right back into that weekly VWAP and kind of right back into balance after catching a little look below, excuse me, balance. Really though, kind of still just in this balance here for the most part. Balances up to that 1340. That's probably where your selling is going to occur at here. 1338, 1345, maybe even a little bit higher, but you got these previous point of controls from inside value here, so I like a frog in my throat today. Maybe a little bit of resistance up there, but if Ethereum is able to get above this weekly VWAP and hold, you'll probably see some upside. But you know, a lot of times people, they've been buying below this VWAP for the most part last week and selling above. It dips down below, they buy above it, or buy below it, sell above. They've been buying below it again, so if it gets up and it starts to hesitate here, you'll probably come back down. But really, I mean, you're just in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-ish day balance. I mean, this day kind of popped, did a look above and failed. This day kind of came back down, but really just kind of sucked into that balance still. He said, well, that got rejected. Yeah, now below that 90 level. That's like I said. So, excuse me. This 90 level, I think, is going to be key here. I know we're kind of looking, you know, the market was looking for that 3,700. But I think this 90 level could be probably your line in the sand today, as far as if the market's able to hold above, you have some opportunity to get long. But if it doesn't hold above, you know, just be careful, because it could start to come down pretty hard. Dollar's starting to come back up here too, trying to. It'll pop above 90. It's tough. Today's tough. Yeah, if it continues to build around this 90, exactly. Yeah, there's definitely and definitely like I'm not like calling for a breakdown. If anything, I'm looking for an opportunity to get with this move, right? We've got single prints below, so we know we got some trap shorts below. Um, it's just a matter of getting in a good spot where you can manage your risk and uh get with the trend, which is up today. The thing is, I mean, there's just so many other things that are not agreeing with today's trend that makes it more difficult, and that's why I'm going to be using 90 as my kind of level today. Trying to hold up here. Let's see if we can take this high. We're above yesterday's value. That next level up, I mean, that 3,700 is right here, but that next move up probably 3,708. 3,704 was a big level from yesterday as well that we were kind of watching. .com to streamers use it. Appreciate it, but thank you. Al Pump looking for that 3,700. Yeah, I agree. Go close right there. Another weak spot here, right at the B high. So you probably had some shorts on that push down that got trapped right here. That liquidated. So watch this spot going forward, 93, 94. One contract on the high. Offer's still up there. They want that. Watch this weak spot right here, this 94, 93. If they buy that again, that's the impulse. We should be good for some continuation to the upside. Breath is still pretty strong here. Nasdaq's looking pretty strong. VIX is coming down. Energy looks good. Everything's looking pretty strong. Even healthcare's come back to life, right? Healthcare was negative. It's come back to life here, so. All right, look for this 3704, 3708 up here. If this thing can continue up. We held that spot nicely, that 94, 93 level. Another weak spot moving up. 99, move your stop up. Watch this weak spot right here, 36.99. Dips below it real quick. A little bit of backing and filling there. Buyers still stepping up. So watch this impulse 93, 94. If it breaks that, there's decent odds that it's gonna flush. Might not sustain, but that's kind of a weak sign showing us that buyers aren't willing to step up at these higher prices at least. We can see the tick kind of coming down here a little bit. Still, I mean, still been pinned above the 0. And everything else is still looking strong for the most part besides utilities. Utilities is pretty lightweighted though, so it doesn't really matter. And it's just kind of hugging its open, so it's not really looking weak. It's just not really doing anything. Still, volume still stepping up here. We can see the volume start to increase right here. Almost 7,000 volume here. Got 11,000 down here. So we're still getting a decent increase in volume up at these higher prices. You can see, I mean, you're not too much below up here, and we've spent, you know, not as much time up here. So only been about one period up here, and still the volume's moving up. So that's a good sign for continuation. We're about 2% more volume than yesterday, so not really a huge increase, but watch this impulse zone. They checked on it real quick. You don't think it wants to go? I mean, it's already gone pretty far if you think about it. You know, I mean, the low here 52, we're up. I mean, 50 handles so far today on the range. That's a pretty wide range, 50 points. I know it doesn't seem like it just because of the typical or because of the recent volatility, but you know, that's still a pretty good range to go. You know, by no means an easy day to trade. Especially kind of look like they ran the market up before Powell on purpose because probably a lot of retail traders, including myself, were kind of on the sidelines just kind of waiting to see if we're going to get any real information. $37.15 area. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, you know, if we kind of rally up even higher than that, test this gap. I mean, these highs are all relatively even for the most part, right? And if you read the trade view, I said that we're still one time framing down just because you know, this is kind of a weak reference with the volatility as high as it is. I don't, you know, nothing is exact when it comes to the market profile. Oh, one tick, that's a poor high. If it's two ticks, that's good excess, right? It's really hard to determine that. You have to kind of decipher on kind of what happened. And yesterday, what happened is this thing came right up and then came right back down. I don't know if I would call it good excess. It kind of just it wasn't like a seller came in. It just kind of died, right? So I'd like to see some good excess. I'd like to see the good auction come up. I'd like to see it end and see that auction come back down if the down auction is going to continue. I mean, I think either way, this no matter what happens, right? This structure, this has to get cleaned up. I don't know if we really need to fill the gap. You know, if we look at the evening session, you've got you know really weak structure up there as well. You have all these relatively even highs. You know, so it just looks like this area's got to get cleaned up no matter what happens. If we go up, down, down, but it's just a weak reference. It's just hard to be like, okay, well, it's got to get cleaned up. I'm gonna get long, right? That's just not how we trade, not how the market works. It'd be nice if that was it. We just find a weak reference and be like, well, I'll just wait until it fills and just buy this and hold it until it fills, and you know, eventually it probably will. Um, but fuck, well, that could be years from now, or it could be in minutes from now. You know, there's no way that's the thing about the market is we just don't know. Better have some deep pockets, exactly. Yeah, I don't. I think if those single prints close, those B single prints close, this thing's just it's gonna roll over. You pay attention fees for better executions and fills than a smaller trader. Do I pay additional fees? Yeah. So the fees that I'll be paying starting on the first actually um are a lot higher. I'm sure they do get better fills, but there's no way. I don't have anything. I can compare and contrast once I'm on them, starting on the first. So here's just like a little article. Doesn't break down the number. Here's a pricing overview. Watch this 93, 94 area, guys. That's what we're watching. The volume's moving up. We have excess on the high now, but volume's moving up. So we need to continue to stay above the volume if we're going to get continuation. We start to fall below the volume, the market's getting a little bit of volatility here. I'm trying to find like an article for you. They said it's 90-10, Caesar. So it stays at 90-10. That's why I was like, oh well, you know, I mean that's pretty fair for me, I feel like. Yeah, so I mean here's kind of a little difference of it, right? So here's the professional versus non-professional fees, right? So live quotes, charts and DOM, right? Obviously I'm going to be on the charts and the DOM. For CME, it's 116, 12, CBOT 12, 116, NYMEX, COMEX, and then all of them 375 where regular is 36. So it's going to be a little bit more pricey. But I like I said, I don't the fees are not necessarily based off the executions. You know, maybe supposedly the way that the CME executions work is a first come first served basis, right? So regardless of if you're on a personal account or if you're on a prop account, it should just be whoever places the order first gets filled first. That's how it's supposed to be. So we got our first little half pipe here forming at the high. We're kind of coming back down into the lower ramp here to see if buyers are willing to come back up. So I got some bids stacking down here around that 90 level again, which is really our line in the sand, my line in the sand at least. The breath is really cooling here as well, and I mean the tick still has 2 minutes, but we might see our first tick close below the 0 level. Seeing a little trend form on Apple off the low here, so let's go ahead and pay attention to it. Weekly VWAP's 3680. Right here. It's right at pretty much the Globex high. You can see a lot of volume came in right on that spot as well. D period opens up. We've got a selling tail on the high here. We're coming into that second ramp that we talked about. We're still one time framing to the upside. So let's see if D is going to give us a little cessation of one time framing. Failure for D. I mean, even if D does break the C low, like I said, they're going to need to get back down below here. We got weekly VWAP at the 80, so that will kind of be the line for these longer term frame traders really to be buying off that level. So this area here should get respected, but like I said, for me, I'm being a little bit more cautious, and below this 90, I'm gonna probably be hands off. for a little bit. Apple's breaking that uptrend here, mainly by time so far. A little bit of a pop up, right? Getting into that other ramp here. See if they can roll it. Dip to PIBL 86.25. What's that PIBL? This 94.93 area is an area where they were trying to hold during C. It was that impulse. So they're trying to do a little backing and filling here. Oh, prior initial balance low. Oh, okay, I see. The other B, okay. Apple so far is holding. That tick did get a close below 0, but it's since, flipped right back around. So that just kind of lets us know that there was a seller here, right? That you got a little bit of selling in this area, right? That's what this tick is. Not saying that selling was strong, but we just did get some selling in the market there. If they're going to keep this one time frame in here. Or it's trying to cover. There's a big bid that just kind of flashed and then just went away right there. You guys see that? So seller's still present here so far. That's what this is showing us, right? We're still seeing a little bit of a seller here. Not real strength from a seller, but there is somebody, getting a little bit short or at least taking some off profit wise, right? A little bit of profit taken there.
Short 3 on 3,700.
Oh yeah. That's a nice fill.
see if I can hold one here.
Old in my house. Let me turn the heat on real quick. I'll be right back. Nice. We're getting a little bit of cooling off in the tech sector here. Let me pull this over. So we can see tech is kind of getting right to yesterday's close and just kind of hitting into some resistance here. Healthcare is still looking pretty decent. Consumer discretionary is still looking decent. Financials still looking strong. Communications still looking strong. Industrials still looking strong. Little pullback here in staples. Energy still looks strong. And utilities just kind of looks flat. Materials okay, and real estate's kind of pulling back here a little bit, but still looking pretty decent. VIX is coming down here a bit too. X starting to pop up. Some bigger trades coming through right there. Aggressive trades. I don't know if I'd say bigger. Some aggressive trades coming through the tape right there. 12 points down. All right, Jason, we'll catch you later, man. Yeah, you know, and don't hang your head. It happens to the best of us, man. Can't win every day. Just not how life works. D period still sitting inside C period here, balancing. We did a little bit of backing and filling here, so we still look pretty decent, right? Came back down to that 90, filled it in, got back down to that 93, 94. We're really weak. Filled it in. Volume stepped up here. We know there's a seller lurking, but look at the tick really kind of just, pushing it up here. Not a huge fan of seeing that tick hit 1,000 and us not make a new high, though. That's kind of disheartening. And we're watching this weighted AD. We'd like to see it make a new high so we can get some continuation. TJ, you still holding that short, or did you close it?
No, the 50 was holding, so I took profit and then ready for re-entry if it holds, but it's looking kind of strong right now. So I'm flat. It looks like it's
Nice.
a lot of times when the 50's holding, then especially if we have singles below us, I'm not expecting a huge like reversion back to the mean kind of thing.
Right.
I'll get out a little quicker because could just be a breather and then trend continues kind of thing. So yeah, I think I took profit on the second one a little early, but it was a total of 13 and a quarter.
Hell yeah. Nice.
Little scalperoo.
Little scalper. 13 points is great.
Yeah, I was wanting to hold the last lot at least until the 50, and we had 3 candles pegging the 96 half, so I put my stop behind 96 half. And I don't know, the third time I'm just like, oh, it's gonna get me. So as soon as it came back down to like 94, I was like, I'm just gonna take profit, be happy with what I got. And it ended up coming down to the 50 after that. So could have had another 4 points, but I'd rather be safe than get caught,
Oh yeah.
I've definitely fallen over to like the super risk manager. I feel like it's not worth it. But there's been a few trades where it's hurt me, so I'm trying to balance it out. Good risk, but not so risk off where I'm not even wanting to put anything on the line.
Right. And I would say like a good way to measure stuff like that is, like the sentiment of the market. Like the short you got in, great entry, great risk management. It'd be nice to see a break and to get into some of these singles and fill, but we do have pretty strong sectors for the most part. Breadth is pretty strong, so I think that trade taking profit right there is the best you can do, or the best idea. And on days like you're talking like you're trying to balance it out, or you want to kind of leave a little bit of that risk on. When you have this nice entry from a high and you don't have a strong breath, we got a weak breath, maybe like a 1, less than a 2 basically, or even a 2, or it's mixed and we don't see a real strong weighted AD, more of a mashup in here, kind of green red green red green red, then I think you're probably safer to to let the risk ride to get that reversion back to the mean.
Yep. Yeah, I found that when there's fresh singles right under us, a lot of times that buying pressure, shorts buying back their position will prevent the reversion of the mean. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to, figure out all the little caveats, So that 3,700 held again, but still looks like they want some more upside to me until they break below the 50. My next part of this trade would be it breaks below the 50, then comes back and back tests this area and can't get above it. And then that's like my short reentry.
Where's the 50 at?
The 50 right now is at 91.75.
Okay.
The last two times it bounced though was 90.25 and 88.5.
Yeah, Roach, Apple's down because of that announcement of the they're gonna delay production of the iPhone. Or slow, not delay, slow production of the iPhone, that's what I should say. Yeah, that's, I mean, that's kind of what I'd like. I'd like to see people just be like, you know what, we don't care. You need to slow down. You need to slow down. We still love Apple, and just start to see Apple just, move up, and then that'll take the rest of the market. Really, I mean, because Apple holds about 7.25%. You know what I mean? So it's that's kind of the only thing kind of holding the market back, in my opinion. Even the Nasdaq has kind of flipped over. It's up 0.8 for the most part. And if we look at the market watch here, if we look at the Nasdaq 100 here, I mean, you can see the big winner today, BIIB, but Apple, the number one, just holding us down for the most part. ALGN, but for them, I mean, pretty much everything's green here. We're looking at 92 advancing versus 10 declining. That's the Nasdaq 100. And if we look at the S&P 100, we got 86 advancing, 15 declining. BIIB, the big winner here, and then what's this? Lily's up, of course. I still think this is going to be shortable, to be honest. Eventually. And it has the most meat on the bone, this Lily does. Which platform go you and TJ broker? TJ, you're on Sierra charts, right?
Yeah, I'm on Sierra.
Yeah, so yeah, we're both on Sierra. And then if you're gonna open up a new account on Sierra, if you're not gonna do a funded account, Stage 5 trading has really good like margins and fees and stuff. So that's who I have my personal account with. Looks like it wants to go. Goes. We can do ticks of excess. Come on. Why do I trade the S&P over the Nasdaq? That's just kind of how, I mean, I trade the Nasdaq sometimes, but the Nasdaq is just so much more whippy. You know what I mean? It's so rangy comparatively, right? Like if we look at the Nasdaq here, look at a 30-minute chart. And I mean, if you just look at the range that the Nasdaq puts in here. Market breaking up here, guys. You know what I mean? The NASDAQ just kind of turns on a dime. So it's like, it just doesn't trade as clean, I think, as the ES does. To me, at least, right? I'm not saying it's not tradable, but to me, it doesn't really trade as clean as the ES does. I like how the ES trades. And the NASDAQ, for me, because I use the profile as my main tool to decide whether or not to trade, um, the NASDAQ isn't a huge respecter of levels like that. And so for me, that's just kind of how it is. But I mean, I have traded the NASDAQ before. Sure, I will again at some point. I just don't, I'm not like a sole NASDAQ trader. And honestly, I recommend, newer traders don't trade the ES either. I recommend they trade the Dow. The Dow's pretty easy to trade. Easy, not, I don't want to say easy, but it's easier to trade because it's a lot more trendy. Like when it starts going one direction, it just goes that direction. And that's because it's not as influenced as the NASDAQ is or the ES is, right? Like one stock cannot just, like let's say Apple started to puke right now. Well, the NASDAQ would start to puke, right? Even if, all the other stocks in the NASDAQ are going up and Apple just starts to tank, well, the NASDAQ's going to start to tank. Whereas the Dow has a lot less, it's a lot less influenced by, one stock. Yeah, it's a lot more work to run the numbers on 2 indices and even harder with 3, yeah.
Yeah, I love just sticking to one market and learning that one.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier, that's for sure.
When I was trying to do crypto and everything, man, it was just a nightmare.
Oh, like, yeah, I can only imagine, like, just, and especially because, like, crypto too, it's all in, like, decimals, a lot of them, and then there's so many different things going on.
Yeah, like you're talking about too, like the range. Like it's if you're used to a certain range and then you're trading a different asset and it has 3 times the range, like all of a sudden you're like your profit targets and all your stuff. Right? I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Your risk.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And it's like, you've got to learn one before you really move on to the other. You know what I mean? Like if you're trading the ES, you know how it trades, you get the feel of how it trades, and I really do think that is important, right? You understand kind of like the motion that it goes on. So you know what a pullback looks like versus a liquidation. You know what a stop run looks like versus a just, new buyers entering the market in on the NASDAQ or on anything else, right? It's just going to be a little bit different. And so getting the feel for that, it's not really just like a plug and play. Like just because you trade the ES successfully doesn't necessarily mean you can just switch to the NASDAQ or switch to oil and just trade that successfully, right? They're completely different things. It looks like we might get another chance at some more single prints here. D period continues the one time framing up. Breath is picking up big time, 7-1 here. That's what we don't mind seeing, that tick make a tick over 1,000, but a higher high in conjunction is a sign of strength. The big daddy is the SPX, yeah. It's really the main fund, right? Nasdaq's like the new hip, fucking snapback hats. The Dow is like, the old buckle in the back hats that all the dads wear. And the SPX is like a fitted flat cap.
That's what I'm talking about.
The difference between the SPY and the SPX is one's an ETF and one's a index. That's it. They're both following the futures. Hey, Pop. All right, let's get started. We've been waiting for you. We've just been sitting here just doing nothing until just now, so thank you.
Finally, we can start.
So if we look like, if you look here, right, the SPY is an ETF. Where's the SPY at? We got the SPY here. It's trading at 367.69. This is trading at 3702-ish, right? 367. So it's, a little bit behind here. Infinity's calling me. Hello? How's it going? I'm good. Oh shit, my card's done. I gotta go pick it up. Let's go. And then if we switch to the SPX, sorry about that. You switch to the SPX, it's 36.89, futures 37.02. So futures are kind of leading the SPX right now. Not really, that's pretty much it. It's just an index versus an ETF. And then, the price is obviously different as well. And the options are different as well. Honestly, and for this is for all of my options traders out here, a little bit of a flush there. And we've got 1 minute until E period opens up, and I thought we were gonna get some singles, but it doesn't look like it. And we're getting right back to that 3700 level. This is for my my options traders out there. If you're trading options and you're trading SPY options, you're throwing money in the fucking garbage, okay? Because of the invention of the MES, right? You would be better off. What's the margin on the MES? Let me see. Overnight margin. Well, on TD, it's gonna be like a fucking million. So, let's look on.
I'm about to hold one overnight.
Yeah, what would it be
I
on?
think- Well, for
$1,000 is what it looks like.
there you go. Yeah, I thought it was 400 or 1,000.
Okay, so yeah, so under $1,000, you're getting kind of a move down here, guys. But so if well, not to purchase it, Dr. VJ, to hold it overnight. So if you're trading the SPY options, you'd be better off buying or selling, depending upon which way you're trading it, an MES contract and just holding it until it gets to whatever your price target is, right? There's no you're gonna spend too much premium, and honestly, the limitation from the SPY not being able to get out of that trade within 20 or during non-cash sessions would just be in my opinion a fucking waste of a waste of money, and the return is not going to be as good, to be honest. Like if we look over here at SPY options, like so market's just coming down here a little bit right to the 50. DJ is so you look at these SPY options, and volatility is high, so they're a little bit more expensive, and this is for that's for yesterday. So you got Friday here. These are Friday's options. And so let's say you're expecting the market to come down to 364. You're gonna spend $3, $300 and $325 here. And you're looking at, where's the delta? Turn the delta on. You're looking at, you're looking at $36 here. So we then we'll analyze just a single put here. So here we are. So here's where you get in at. You're looking at, it needs to get into the money, which would basically break you off at even, and then it kind of just flattens out when it goes back down to zero. But I mean, you're making $37 for every point that it's going, when you could trade the MES and you make $5 per point on here. And so you figure the SPY is about 10 points, so you're going here, and sometimes the volatility could make it worth it. And if you're buying like deep out of the money options, then maybe it could be worth it. This is gonna be $50 for every point on the SPY, where the SPY right now is giving you $36, and you're gonna pay what do we say, a $325 premium. So you need it to move. Well, I mean, you're gonna be covered by the premium anyways, but you're going to need it to move some to make it worth it, right? Because you're going to spend this money no matter what. Whereas if you get in at this 36.96, if it goes up a couple of points, you lose $50, whatever it is. But with this, you're going to be losing $36 plus whatever the premium drop is too. So it's just not worth it. Now SPX is a little bit different, but SPX options are a lot more expensive, and there's no overnight margin to hold them, so sometimes that's not a bad route to go, in my opinion. And the futures options, of course, they're more expensive, but if you want to get farther out ones. Yeah, and yeah, that's true. And the SPX options give you the 60/40. That's right. All right, TJ's in his short now. It stops right at the E high. He's looking for this thing to go down to the 36.90.
I'd like to see that E high drive up and get short a little closer to the D high. Then this thing keep rolling over. We'll see though. We'll see. That's just one of the what ifs. So.
Right. What did Roach say? NQ is like your stripper girlfriend, sexy and fun, but your pee might burn the next morning. Greenbow, Alabama. Are you an Auburn fan or an Alabama fan? Or do you not really watch college football?
I'm not like one of those die-hard Alabama fans where you just absolutely hate every other person that is any other. But I go for Alabama. But I like watching Auburn too. I have family on both, so both sides.
Yeah, in the Army, I meet a lot of people from the South, and like, you know, you'd have a big split, like either Auburn or Alabama.
Yeah, you have to pick one. Like, right.
Can't like both. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, it's just funny, like in the difference when it comes to football down south compared to, you know, anywhere else, really.
Yeah, they treat it like a religion down here.
Yeah. And Jesus and football. That's why I'm so surprised that church is on Sunday, man. I'm just like, if God invented church, it wouldn't have been on Sunday. I'll tell you that. I remember as a kid, because my stepmom as a kid was a big church person, and we would go to church all the time, and well, not all the time, but like every Sunday, and I would fake sick. Like if the Cowboys were on at 10 a.m., I would just fucking be like, oh, my stomach hurts, and I just would not go to church and just stay home and watch the game.
Oh god.
Oh, I'm a pretty diehard Cowboys fan. Like I've just always, you know, like if the game is on, I'm watching it, and I don't care. Like if someone's like, "Oh, we gotta do this," I'm like, "No, fuck that. I'm not doing it. Not important."
Doesn't look like she wants to come any higher.
You're using the SPY to get your psyche right in terms of sticking to your thesis, not to get shaken out. Are you just like trading the SPY, like buying the SPY or selling the SPY, like one contract, or like one like I guess ETF? I shorted the 3700. I hope this thing goes down to fucking 80. Let's see, test those single prints. Yeah, the SEC just has, I mean, they just grow them different down there, especially at Alabama. Like, you know, when a player comes from Alabama, then their thighs are like the size of a regular person's torso. You know, they just like feed those boys steroids, I swear. You should, Tobias, you should look at the micros if you're trying to do that. You know, just put one contract on the micros, and like, let's say if you're looking for that play, looking for that move down to wherever or up to wherever, you know, it's a pretty easy hold comparatively, and it doesn't limit your risk as like the SPY would, right? Like if you buy a SPY, well, I mean, if you buy a SPY, it can just go to zero. Um, whereas this thing, you could take your account to zero, I guess, but it's more bang for your buck. But you'd have to open up a futures account and stuff like that. Come on down.
Yeah, I'm always hesitant to get in too early, so I only was able to put one lot on.
I just used your play that you called out earlier, if I'm being honest. He said, wait till it comes back up to 3,700 and then get short. And I was like, you know what? I like that. The
Yeah,
Nasdaq's kind of breaking trend too, so.
I was gonna average in between 3,700 and the D high. So I put one on because it looked like it could roll over, but I didn't want to go all in, you know, and then be too early, you know. And then you're taking heat, questioning everything you're doing.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm trying to learn myself, because that's what's been getting me is I start averaging in too early, and the whole play works out, but you know, I took a few off because I wasn't sure, and then you know by the time it's all done, it wasn't a great trade. But I'd like to see it come tag this 200 Instead of the 80. So probably target more like half back, maybe. But it does have to get.
The weekly VWAP's right at the 82.
We had some trapped. We had some buyers right at that, like 86.5 on the way up. So I think that's like the CeeLo.
Roach, I got an infinity. Go ahead, TJ, sorry.
Oh, my bad. No, I'm just babbling.
Yeah, I got an infinity. It's all-wheel drive, so it should do well in the snow.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a 2008 Infinity G35. It only has 44,000 miles. So it should be, I mean, like I said, I never drive, so it's just hard for me to really waste money on a car. We have a nice car. We want to go somewhere. My wife's car is really nice, so it should do its job. It has seat heat too, so. Yeah, exactly. Like if I got like I really wanted to get a Cadillac too, but it's like the thing is it just fucking would just sit there. Like I had a brand new car in 2020 and put like 14,000 miles on it in like 2.5 years. You know, so I just don't. And that was when I was living in California and driving back and forth to my dad's house, which is like 100-ish miles, and then to my brother's house, which is over 100 miles as well. So like, you know, that I'm actually driving a lot more than I'm going to be driving here.
Not liking the response we got at the 93.
Yeah, a little bit of buying right there. That's at 93, 94 area again.
Yes, or that be high.
Yeah, the XTS is nice. Yeah, I looked at XTS as well. I might get like a newer car, you know, eventually, I guess. Probably not. Yeah, I'll probably buy a fucking motorcycle so I can ride that in the summertime. That's probably what I'll waste the money on. I am sad I sold my old Harley. That's true. And everyone in Pennsylvania, if you drive a Harley, like you just can't wear a helmet apparently because everyone here's a fucking idiot. You're one rock away from just smashing your fucking head on the ground. It's just mind blowing. Too cool. It's tough. It's tough. This little bounce right here too. Apple's getting defended on its VWAP. Tech's looking a little bit weaker. Healthcare's looking a little bit weaker. Consumer discretionaries. I mean, they all have kind of this kind of same look with excess on the high here.
Yeah, these little rotations are always what get me. It's like, for me, I only got one lot too, so I feel like I have to hold it longer, like to my overall target, instead of just taking it where my first take profit would have been. So I'm like, so you try to balance it. We need that 93 to break.
Yeah. We're tough here, not Sissy Cali. Well, in California, there's a helmet law, so if you don't wear a helmet, you'll get fucking pulled over quick, and they won't let you get back on the bike. Yeah, I just have my stop at break even. So if we get back to the break even, then I'll just call it. You know, nothing. there'll be more opportunity. Plus, I'm about to go get my car too. So 3700's been acting like a magnet here. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate everybody hanging out. I'm gonna wrap it up. I will be in the Discord once I get back. My appointment yesterday basically took all afternoon. I wasn't able to get back, but I shouldn't be gone for more than an hour or so. So I'll jump in the Discord. If you guys are in the Discord, um, we'll kick it. Appreciate everyone hanging out. Make sure that you are managing risk and sticking to your trade plan. And just remember today, right? Even though we were just talking about a short from this 3700, TJ and I we're managing this risk. We're not looking for this, it'd be nice, of course. Yeah, you get this fucking stone falling off of a cliff here. But we're understanding that the breadth is elevated, the weighted AD is elevated. Almost all of our sectors are green here, except one that doesn't even count. The only laggard is Apple, and that's news driven, right? We have the tick here has basically been positive all day, right? You've had 2 ticks close below 0, and each concurrent or next tick took it all back for the most part. So that that's an understanding that that's just looking for that fade. And when you're looking for a fade, you've got to make sure that you are managing that risk, right? You're not looking to hit a home run on a fade. Nothing wrong with getting in and getting out, right? Let that one come back to break even, because I've had a decent couple trades so far and wanted to see if that one had any legs, but it didn't, and took it out for a scratch, so no big deal. But yeah, other than that, you guys have a wonderful day, and I will catch you all in the Discord.